Oyster. Personal injury is currently largely controlled by attorneys who are marketing directly to the client slash patient. Chiropractors also market directly to the injured patient, and usually the chiropractor and attorney are in bed together, at least when it comes to referral swapping. I'd like to take a new view on this cottage industry and place the patient in the driver's seat when it comes to case management. We are refining our EMR patient access portal. It will give the patient a new view into his or her world of injury, rehabilitation, the journey that's involved, and it will encourage participation on the patient part. As the patient is able to track progress, he or she can self-monitor both the physical recovery progress, milestones, and claim value, which can predict settlement value and hence compensation for the patient. Of the 3 steps that I have listed here, numbers 1 and 2 can be pursued organically, albeit not necessarily rapidly. But step number 3, I think, will require more resources and some marketing pitfall management as disruption starts to occur. How big is this market? Well, this is really why we want to go to the trouble to embark on this project. It is a large market and it's growing each year. Questions that currently arise: how does a patient access injury claim benefits? And it's based really with good documentation. This is not health insurance. This is claim validity. Different types of claims exist, of course. Usually there is some type of a liability insurance, like an automobile insurance, and different jurisdictions have different requirements and different types of coverage that are mandated. Some states have parts of a policy that are carved out specifically for injury care. Other ones do not. Other states do not. And regardless, personal injury cases have value. It is a niche, a healthcare niche, and personal injury is heavily documentation intensive. The accurate documentation is what's going to drive claim validity, case value, and ultimately compensation. So where are we going? Personally, in the year 2020, during the pandemic shutdowns, I expanded the use of telemedicine visits in my practice. Remote visits have become accepted by providers, patients, and also payers. I mentioned physical rehab clinics in this slide because I think it would be the proverbial win-win and likely a good testing ground for introducing the mobile app. This is a screenshot example of telemed video interface. Methods. We need to explore methods of marketing directly to the patient. I think this can start word of mouth and organically from promotion by the healthcare provider, for example. This slide kind of reiterates what I said in slide number 1 about attorneys and chiropractors being the current competition that's marketing directly to the patient. This is where the disruption may come in. We want to try to get the patient empowered to manage his or her own injury case, and to do this, we're going to develop an app that will interface with the electronic medical record and provide access to the records that are needed, give some insight to the patient about what records are deficient, and help the patient to follow a trajectory of good physical rehab attendance, and they can have insight into what their claim value is doing. We can estimate that claim value will increase with certain when certain components are completed. And when the patient knows this and is able to hit these milestones, then we believe they will be motivated to participate. If the patient participates to the level such that really they're doing all of the work that the attorney office would be doing on a non-complicated case, then really it begs a question as to is the attorney actually needed? Again, disruption can occur both by reducing the role of the attorney, paying potentially less in contingency fees, or even disrupting significantly and eliminating the attorney altogether. We do know that the vast majority of cases do not actually go to trial. Here's a good comparison, at least in my mind. I think of the real estate agent. Once upon a time was the ruler when it came to buying and selling properties. And then along comes something like Zillow and basically gives the home buyer or seller access to the information of what's on the market and gives them the ability to even sell their own home without having to pay commission to a real estate agent. Similarly, we want our solution, Otto, to be able to be the framework for management of one's own personal injury case. This could be a spectrum of reducing the importance and or reliance of the personal injury attorney so that we could at least make the argument that a reduced contingency fee would be warranted, or even obviate the need of using the attorney altogether and not pay any contingency fee if the case is straightforward. TurboTax is another example that comes to my mind. The CPA was once much more heavily relied upon. Now we have software like TurboTax that lets the taxpayer do his or her own claims with confidence. Tech development is going to be needed for this slide. It's kind of the third stage in our progress projections, and the tech is available. We just have to put it together in really an organizational format and be able to give the patient what they want and what we believe that they are going to need to deliver upon creating the software that's going to solve and obviate the need for the injury attorney. I think YCombinator would be invaluable here for getting us in front of the right investors who have some like-minded interest and expertise in some overlapping existing tech with similar concepts. Here's a landing page example. Just another example of the mobile app possibility. Here's an Apple product, but the idea is just to demonstrate that yes, patients are likely willing to use a mobile app. Download the Otto app and manage your injury case with confidence. What services could we add to this patient portal and also to the mobile app? Well, I think there's a tremendous number of things that we could actually add that would be of interest, and we'd probably start small and add as demand dictated, but educational opportunities and notifications for the patient. Some kind of a graphical experience where the patient can log in and quickly see at a glance where they are in their recovery course, what else is left, and as they go along the graph, they could estimate what the value of their current settlement would be at that point in time. Could even request a settlement advance based on some of these when some of these milestones are hit. Numerous sites do advertise the capability of negotiating a personal injury settlement without a lawyer or attorney. The ones that I've found have all been attorney websites, essentially doing it from basically a marketing perspective, but making the pay. There's interest among patients, obviously, for this concept. Here are 3 examples of software that is currently being used by legal team, the legal assistants, lawyers' offices to track personal injury cases, manage those. They typically, one injury care attorney, for instance, will likely have 200 active cases, so they need something to help manage that. And additionally, along the way, we believe we'll be able to work with factoring companies to get into markets that we don't completely yet understand. It's based on the realization that personal injury claims do have value. There are different ways of extracting that value depending on which jurisdiction you're in. Certain states have personal injury protection parts of their policies that already have a finite value carved out for injury care. Other states do not. They're based on the global value of the settlement, and there's a waiting time because it might take a year for that case to settle. However, in order to cash out and get cash flow for that, we can sell the value of that, of some of the service invoices directly and cash out along the way, in other words. Thank you. And I plan to have a separate demo part to showcase our EMR. Show you the electronic medical record in a couple different ways. This is the EMR that we referred to in previous parts of the application and in the founder's video. To access the EMR, I use this URL for my practice. Each other practice has a different URL. So it takes you to the login screen. I'll go ahead and log in and show you the home page. Home page would be this landing page that has user functions that everyone sees, and depending on what the user role is, different admin functions will appear in this area. If we go to scheduler, this I have put a couple of test patients in here. It's green once a patient's checked in. It's blue if the patient is not yet checked in. So I can pull up the patient information by right-clicking. This example patient information header is present on every page and would let you know, make sure that you're always talking about or charting on the correct patient. Exams tabs quickly pulls a list of every visit the patient has made, the date, the provider who saw the patient, location of where the patient was seen, and and then the status. Has this note been completed? Today's example, we can select it. This will show you the user experience. It's color coded for charting, for ease of charting, and so the red area would be subjective information. The objective aspects, vital signs and physical exam, will be in this colored purple. Yellow shows us the assessment, which is essentially the ICD codes, and then the plan is here in blue. When it comes time to actually print this or send the PDF copies for records requests and for billing, then I would go to print bundle and or the billing department would do this. I can select the case. Sometimes a patient has more than one case if they've been in more than one injury event in their life. And, I can select the visits, and if I just want one visit to be printed, I'll just move this over here, and then I can push print, and it will pull up basically a PDF example. Date of injury is always very important to have on each note as a reference point to let all readers know which injury event we're talking about. Back to scheduler. I can show you how to check a patient in. I would right click, check in, and then I can look at this patient. Now we're on a different patient here in the header. This button tells us the attorney. It also pulls up patient information page where I can track the referral source. I can track the attorney and put in the patient's insurance information. There's a minimum number of required fields to register a patient, and some of these are not required fields for this purpose. The Documents tab, this allows me to really put all of the external medical records into the chart here. I can read this report, and it's an MRI report example. The patient billing, this particular test patient does not have anything billed, so let me go back to the other one and see if we have something to show here. If I go to billing, yeah, so here's a list. You've got essentially dates and locations of service, who the provider was, what the charge was. If I need a little bit more information, for instance, I can click on this soap note. It'll tell me what type of exam happened. Under the acute injury, there are different subtypes of templates that can be selected, and it will keep running balance of what's so far. Nothing on this particular example, nothing has been collected because it's a test patient. The typically green means that it's been paid within 30 days. In this example, the green also means that the note's not complete, so nothing has been submitted for that particular person on this data service anyway. Now, since the EMR is populated with a database of real patients, I'm going to shift gears on how to do the rest of this demo over to a screenshot PDF link that I made. So again, here's the login screen with the URL. Here's the landing page or home page that I just showed you. This just shows the full user function part of it. Here's a scheduler from a patient last week on December 7th that was seen by me. I here have the patient's attorney information can be seen at a glance, and you can also, when you click on that button, it will take you back to the patient information page that I showed earlier with all of the registration questions. Right here is the exams tab that pulls up the dates of service, the provider, the location of where the patient was seen, the type of exam that was seen, and the status of that visit. Has it been completed from a charting perspective or not? Here's the screenshot demonstrating the color-coded user experience for charting. Here's the documents summary tab. When I click on that, I can see these different PDFs and different files that have been uploaded. Sometimes they're from a registration, very brief registration packet. Other things are from external medical records. This is a billing tab again, you can see where the green means that the bill has been paid. If it's yellow, it's greater than 30 days. Black means actually within 30 days. And next, we've got the Note tab. This is for internal communications. In an effort to go completely paperless, when certain tasks are performed by staff, such as attempts at scheduling, case notes, this would be something administratively if a communication occurred between, say, the billing department and an attorney office, we would frequently put a note here. And that's, again, it's just for our own internal communications. So print bundle, I showed a brief example earlier. When you click on this, it will pull up the options. You get the case, what is it that I want to print, which components of the chart. In this example, I've selected the entire chart to print. And here's just an example of the PDF that gets generated for submission for insurance, or sending off to another medical provider if they're asking for records, or also to send to the attorney during the treatment and at the end of treatment, so that the case can be resolved quickly. The print statement tab, this shows a summary of all the billing in itemized format. In this example, your total charges was $96.40. We've got insurance payments in the amount of this. We have a existing balance of that, so we're hoping to collect that at the time of the settlement. This is an example of the HCFA form, or the CMS 1500 form is another word for that. This is the one-page billing summary that gets submitted with each bill, with each claim each event that gets billed to insurance will have one of these forms associated with it, and it's generated from the program. Registration, again, there are some minimal required fields to get someone registered. But when you go through and you try to fill out all of the fields, it's very useful. Scheduling, this is in order to see a patient, you must first register them and then get them placed on the schedule. The schedule will not only give you the date and the time of the appointment, you'll be able to pick out location. Some practices have more than one location, for example. And then visit type, we have multiple different types. We can edit the different types of visits that we want to create a template for. And okay, now I'm jumping down to the administrative part. There, admin functions, there are a number of those on the bottom of the home page, and so I just picked apart each icon. Here's the user administration home page. Since I'm an administrator, I'm able to assign users their username and password, and then we have all the other necessary information that the user, if the user is a medical provider, will need all this information to be able to bill. Sometimes the role is something like administrative assistant. There would be different types of permissions that are enabled for depending on the role, user role. ICD administration, I can add any ICD code that I want. I can edit, I can remove old or inactivate old ICD codes, and referral administration. This is simply if we want to add someone to the list of referral sources, we can do that here. It's good to be able to track referrals and know where the business is coming from. Attorney administration. We have a database with most of the attorneys here in the area and neighboring states. Same thing with insurance administration. We can add different insurance carriers and adjusters. This is the document administration. I can add different types of document categories, and then when we add a document, scan one to the patient's chart, then we can assign that under one of these headings, and it's easier to find. Location administration. This simply means if my practice, if I want to add another practice location somewhere on the other side of town or other side of the state, I can do that. I can even have a practice with a different or location with a different tax ID number, if depending on what the setup is, and all will be accessible from the same URL. Imaging study administration. This is for the purpose. This is what the building department will be doing with these certain MRI studies and X-ray studies and whatever other types of imaging studies that we decide to start using. The location CPT code administration. CPT, current procedural terminology, is used for either a type of visit or a product, and we can change that or add new CPT codes, name it what we want so that we can tell quickly what it is, and then if we need a better description, more thorough description, we put that here, put the price, etc. CPT codes for exam templates. This is procedure CPT code administration. Basically just showing you that you can add as many of these as you want and need. Visit type. This is going to be it will link us to the template that will be used. So a visit type for medical initial evaluation visit, I have two different options of templates that I could use for that. If I wanted a guided template with headings and prompts, then I would use this. If I just want to make everything up on the fly with a generalized SOAP note, then I would probably pick that one. Customizable templates. This is how we do that. You would simply select either pick a master template, and in this example I've got medical physical master selected. These screenshots are excerpt screenshots just so I could show you that we can have different types of exams that we'll have corresponding templates with, and we can make required fields underneath each of these. For instance, your blood pressure. Some people want to make that a required field so that you have to put in vital signs before you can complete a note on a patient. Other practices like to have certain templates that don't require that because they're simply in a hurry and want to quickly see someone and chart on someone without having to take vital signs. The role administration, I went over this a little bit in the other one, but I can this is an example list of different roles. So if you're a pharmacy staff and you have a role assigned, then this will tell you what kind of access you're going to have when you log into the EMR. And then we have access reports tab. This will take me to the reports, where we can track by pages by referral source. We can do a billing report. We can do all these other reports. And DME, durable medical equipment, is essentially a product list. And that is a quick summary of our EMR. Thank you.